coming. Welcome to Capital Factory. We're going to kick off just now, so if you want to grab your last drinks, get your last taco.
Not last.
Well, your last one for a second while you listen to your panel. Well, thanks so much for coming, and I'm going to let Sabina kick it off here with our panelists as moderator, and enjoy.
Thank you, Abba. Can you guys hear me okay? All right. I've never used one of these. It feels pretty cool. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Sabina. I am the founder of Hello World Tech Studio, which is a 2nd through 12th grade computer science software engineering program. We have a few parents here, which is exciting, so it's good to see some familiar faces. So we are here to discuss why Austin. I'm going to kick us off with a few stats. So a few months ago, Forbes rated Austin as the #1 fastest growing city in the United States. They were looking at population growth, which we've seen 16% population growth between 2010 and 2015. Texas Monthly dubbed us as the land of perpetual boom. Since 2000, employment in Austin has expanded 52%, 15 percentage points more than DFW or Houston. Job growth is 3 times more than that of New York, 5 times more than that of San Francisco, 10 times more than that of Chicago. So the bottom line is Austin is king. And we are putting the rest of the big metro areas in the shade, and we are here today to talk about why. So before we get started, I'd love to do a little fun exercise. I have an educator background, so we're going to get a tiny bit active. I see many of you are already standing, so you're halfway there. Let's have everybody stand, including our panelists. We'll introduce them here in a moment, but I just wanted to do this little fun piece. Yeah, everybody go ahead and stand. So, if you moved here to Austin within the last 1 month, have a seat, or if you were standing, maybe crouch down awkwardly. If you moved here to Austin in the last 1 month, have a seat or crouch down awkwardly. Yeah, right over here? 1 month? All right.
5 days.
Yeah. So why are you here, real quick?
I presented today.
Okay. You win. Okay, if you have moved here in the last 6 months, have a seat or crouch down. Okay, right there, we've got it. All right. Okay, got it. In the last 2 years. One of the panelists gone. Okay. All right. Last 2 years. In the last 5 years? Cool. Not too long ago, right? 10 years. Still some souls left. 10 years. I want to see who's been here the longest. 15 years. 20 years? 25 years? Okay, raise your hand if you've been here for at least 25 years. Oh my gosh, amazing. Okay, can one of y'all tell me how annoyed you feel, or what is your first reaction when someone's like, I just moved here, or what's your first reaction? Anyone? Yeah, right here. You were super enthusiastic. Share your name first.
I'm Kristen. I'm the events manager here at Capital Factory, born and raised in Austin. I've seen it go from green hills and trees to sky rises. There was a law where you could not build a building higher than the Capitol. The UT Tower was the first one to kind of play that law, but they were built on top of a hill. So it looked like it was taller, but it really wasn't. And then they finally let all these skyscrapers come in. It's sad and kind of, oh man, but it's cool seeing it grow and seeing all the really awesome people come here.
Kristen, thank you for that honest response. Sweet. So that might be, some of what we discussed this evening. So we have an incredible group of panelists here to my right. I'd love to have each of you introduce yourselves. We can start with Chris, and here's what I'd love for you to share. Who you are, what you or both you and your company do, when you arrived to Austin, and when people say, why Austin, what's the #1 thing that you reply back? So just who you are, where you work, and then when you arrived and your #1 response when people say, why Austin? We'll start with you, Chris.
Hi, I'm Chris Taylor. I'm founder and CEO of Square Root. 3 quick facts about Square Root. We're an enterprise software company in town that helps retailers use data analytics and AI to manage their stores. We're Fortune's second best place to work in the U.S., and we're the rare, completely bootstrapped enterprise software company. So we're about 12 million run rate. We've never raised dime capital. I moved here 22 years ago in 1995. I graduated from Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh and moved down here to work in tech. And why Austin? And why Austin? So the way I always describe it is I live in LA, I spend a lot of time in San Francisco, and Austin's got balance, right? Austin is, everywhere you go, everybody's trying to change the world, whatever their little niche is. They're trying to change the world in art or music or tech. And they're willing to work hard, but I mean, I'm willing to work all night, but it has to be tonight, because tonight there's a band, and I want to go see a band, right? I'll do it. I'll totally work hard, but let's not be ridiculous about work hard all the time, right? And I think that's the balance. In LA, nobody works at all, and in San Francisco, people want to work all the time, right? And Austin's kind of got that balance of, we're going to have to work hard to change the world, but we're not going to be stupid about it, right? And that's what I love about Austin, we got that balance.
Awesome. My name is David Vogelpol. I'm the Vice President of Web Strategy at WP Engine. I've been with the company nearly since the beginning in one form or the other. WP Engine is a digital experience platform for WordPress, so we power WordPress experiences for the web and mobile and wearables and anything else WordPress will connect to. The second question listed already.
Second question, when did you arrive here?
So I actually arrived in Austin in 1999. I grew up in Houston. I worked for a technology company there and decided it was time for a change, and Austin was literally the coolest city I could drive to. So that's why I made it all the way over here. And really enjoyed that change. It was a big shift from what I had experienced in Houston and kind of more of the oil and finance focus there. And Austin was really, at that time, super alive. And you guys think it's alive now, and you think about the old days then, I also thought about that in 1999. When I arrived, the old timers were like, I miss Austin the way it used to be, and I miss the good old days, and now it's light years from what that was, right? It's so much more. There's so many more buildings, there's so many more people, there's so much more innovation. But I think the thing that struck me the most, and kind of why Austin, is because like now is the good old days. Right? When I was in 1999, if you just arrived, that might seem like forever ago. But the reality is it was also a time of vibrant change and change in the city and growth in the city, and it's only gotten better over time. So I think why Austin is really that kind of spirit of entrepreneurism and really community support, business and technology, and just really the community helping other people.
So, Jason Norris, work in business development for Walmart Emerging Tech. Our kind of goal is to get plugged into the startup ecosystem here in the Austin area. And so, I know I sat down when you said 2 years, but I actually moved here originally in 2001. So I kind of feel like you can't blame me for the traffic problems. But as I came back after being gone for about 4 years, and as far as, I think Austin kind of has something for everyone. I think that's one of the great things about it. That's why it's such a, it's got a lot of diversity. Like you can be into almost anything and you find something, find a tribe here.
I'm Travis Weisgood, Director of Engineering at Condé Nast. We are normally in the top 15 of the Comstat score for internet traffic. We're a publishing company, run a few small magazines like Vanity Fair, and Vogue, and The New Yorker, and Wired, Ars Technica. I've been in Austin since 2010, not with Condé Nast the entire time. And when people ask me why I choose to live in Austin, it's the vibe that's here. There are a lot of people trying to do really amazing things, but they have a bigger, broader, more balanced life than just that. I spent a lot of time in the Valley, spent some time in New York, spent some time in LA, and the people that are in Austin is what make it what it is. It's one of the biggest small towns in the U.S., and it's nice to be able to go out to lunch and run into 2-3 people that you know.
Thank you, Travis. So much of what y'all are saying resonates. I used to live in New York. I went back there recently with my husband, and when we came back, we were like, we don't want to live there anymore. And when we first moved, we were like nervous to leave the big city, and now we're like, thank goodness we made the right choice. So much of what y'all are saying resonates. And actually, I've done some Google stalking at appropriate time for know each of you and just really impressed with your breadth of experience. So thank you again for being here. So you touched on this a little bit, but I'd like to go a little bit deeper, which on this topic. Why did you choose this city to grow and sustain your business? What does Austin provide that other cities don't? And we can start with anyone.
I'll take it. So Connie and Ass moved here. We announced that we were moving here at South by Southwest 2 South bys ago. So what is that, a year and a half ago almost? And at that point we were looking to get out of Manhattan. Connie and Ass is coming 108 years old this year. And its entire time it's been in Manhattan in one place or another, with the exception of Wire, which is in San Francisco. When Fred Santarpia took over as the chief digital officer a few years ago, he started going through interviewing everyone, trying to understand the culture of the company, and he was meeting people who were on their third tour through Condé Nast. They'd worked at the company and left and gone to Hearst and come back. They'd gone to the New York Times and come back. They had gone into some other industry and come back. And he wanted to bring new blood in. So they looked all over the country, and when it came down to it, it was between Austin and Boulder, which 7-ish years ago when I moved here, that was the choice I faced, was Austin and Boulder. And for them, Austin had a much more robust technology community. The Boulder, Denver area has a great technology community, but when you look at when there was big outside investment into that area, it happened about 10 years after it did in Austin. So it's just that far behind. You throw in things like South by Southwest, and it makes a lot of sense for me and the company to be here instead of Denver. Even though there was a really big contingent in New York who was pushing for Boulder, that contingent all skis.
Yeah, mine's a little different because it's very personal to me. So I was, when I started Spurwing 12 years ago, I was actually splitting time between here in LA and spending a lot of time in San Francisco. So those are kind of my three options. A lot of my customers were in LA. The tech ecosystem and funding and everything, lives up in San Francisco, but I've been living in Austin for 15 years. And for me, it really came down to I had a network here, I had people here. You're going to hear people theme a lot, I think, as we go through this. But the other thing about Austin that really, personally for me as a founder and CEO, was Austin's kind of like a medium-sized fish in a medium-sized pond kind of city, right? You can find your pond here, and you can really make an impact. And so, having been in tech here since the mid-90s, I kind of knew everybody, and it was fun. It was fun to just watch other companies like WP Engine come up and grow and have great success with Heather, who I'm friends with. And so to be a part of that, where you can really be that medium-sized fish in a medium-sized pond and kind of choose that, was really important to me personally, as opposed to maybe even being something bigger and a bigger sized pond, but not really make a wave. Wasn't really interesting to me personally. So that's why I chose to found it over there.
Yeah, we're an interesting story. Jason Cohen was our original founder, and is our original founder. And he's an Austinite, right? He was born here. So that's one of the reasons why WP Engine was founded here. But if I think about the city and how it played a role in WP Engine's growth over time, I've touched on it previously, the community support. For the locals, you know, of course, Austin is a city that supports local businesses. The co-op type businesses are very popular here. As a matter of fact, a bunch of dirty Austin hippies got together and started a co-op food store that just sold for $15 billion. And you may also know that the saying, "Keep Austin Weird," is actually about supporting local businesses. That spirit is the spirit of people getting together, supporting a business they may not have a stake in, becoming a fan, helping them out, introducing them to people, exposing other people to that business. That's what Austin is about, and that's what helped us grow. This was a random idea to Engine to have a high-level, fast, secure WordPress experience. There were web hosts for a decade or more prior to that. It wasn't a unique idea to host websites. The way in which he did it, the way in which we've evolved the product is unique. But fundamentally, that growth was fueled by the support we got from Capital Factory. We grew with Capital Factory. WP Engine was founded before the Capital Factory unit today, and it was a startup contest. And so we were able to grow with it and with the community. And it wasn't like we started out as this great big behemoth company that, in Capital Factory's terms. we started out with 2 or 3 people, and there were 2 or 3 other people in other groups, and we all helped each other out, and that's what fed our growth. It wasn't necessarily the innovation, it certainly added to it, but the community is what added to it. And again, it helped our business, companies like Whole Foods, and tons of other businesses here in this room, and just beyond.
Yeah, so for us, we looked at several different kind of markets, and we stayed out of the big ponds. Chris said, we thought we wanted to be in a little bit more manageable environment. We obviously have offices out, and our labs group is all out in Sunnyvale, and we have an East Coast presence in Reston, but we wanted something, so we looked at Denver and Cincinnati and Austin, and I think a lot of it was, I work out of the Capital Factory, meeting the Capital Factory staff and Josh, and it just felt like a really kind of a casual sort of like this could be kind of cool. And so I personally wanted to get back here, and so that was part of it. But the decision wasn't mine, and so we decided to come back here and really try to work within this entrepreneurial ecosystem. And the innovation is happening outside of obviously like giant corporations like ours, right? And so it helps us get plugged in, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun when you can connect one of the startups here with one of our groups back there in Bentonville, Arkansas, and things start to happen. It's really exciting. So there's really the second piece though is the people play. So the other thing is we're looking at building a technology office here. So we've got California and here DC, which are both outrageously expensive. It's just a whole different world, but we know we can attract talent here that we can't get. It's pretty hard. This is surprising, I'm sure, but it's hard to attract a top, computer science UT kid to Bentonville, Arkansas. I mean, I don't really understand it, but it is. So if we can make this an option, that becomes a lot easier for us. So.
To that point with Condé Nast, that's one of the big things we found in hiring. Recruiting somebody to Manhattan is not that big of a deal. If somebody wants to move to New York and they're a programmer, they're going to go with a dozen options. So it's not going to be the thing that seals the deal to move to New York. The number of people who want to move to Austin, including from New York, from San Francisco, I think those are probably the 2 areas we recruit the most from.
Thank you, Travis. So one thing I'm curious about is when you either uprooted your companies or you started here in Austin, what were your initial experiences or initial reactions to either right when you moved or right when you started? I'm really big on stories, so any experiences you can share where you were like, this is a very Austin type meeting we should have had, or anything like that. I would love to hear that.
Yeah, I guess I'll go first this time. So I actually did started and ran an agency, eventually sold the book of business. And for me, one of the scariest things prior to that, I'd been working for a company that had a national focus. So I didn't know people locally. It was a well-established company, and there weren't a lot of local clients. And so I knew lots of people all over the world, but I didn't know a whole lot of people in Austin. And so I had to then, in the agency world, of course, meet local people, because that's where a large percentage of your customers come from. And to me, it was a little daunting. Austin, even now, has dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of meetups on one topic. And then you extrapolate that across lots of different things. And everyone's here tonight. I think you're all used to networking. But getting to know that local community and understanding, I'm going to connect with people that are in my space, but not in my very specific niche, and not knowing what to expect. And I remember the first meetup I ever went to was the co-founders meetup. I don't know if Ricardo's still running that, but at that meetup I met Josh Bayer of Capital Factory, who told me about this cool thing. He was working on this. The introductions I made through him and other people in the community, that's ultimately what helped me grow that business and even create the network that I have today. So to me, what was daunting was getting to know these local people that weren't speaking my exact language, but were pretty close. And then just to see them support me and what I was doing was certainly very encouraging. So what was fearful at first ended up being good.
I'll go. So starting a company is terrifying in general. I would say no matter where you started or how you started or where your career started. But as far as it goes to Austin. So we don't have any customers here at all. We work mainly with like world large retailers, Walgreens, Volkswagen, Nissan, some of these really large companies, none of which are based here. So, I kind of took much more of the approach of what type of company am I selling to these customers, and what type of culture and what type of story am I telling to the customers. And Austin, even 10 years ago, and especially true now, was super cool and hot back then. So our original office space, which we still have, that we got 9 years ago, is an old 1920s craftsman house about a mile from here on West 6th. And now we have 5 of them all on the same street. That is our little campus of 1920s houses. And one of the ways we actually closed our largest customer was we got their executives who thought Austin was going to be amazing, convinced them that they should just come to Austin. We hosted them at the Capitol Factory, gave them one of our houses for the day to do their strategy offsite, and we had the president of Walgreens and his whole executive staff come down and hang out with us for a day because Austin is cool. And they liked the type of things they were doing. And then the president, when he left, said, we're a 120-year-old company. I've been at the company for 28 years, 23, 22, 18, 32. He's like, we have to figure out how to change, and this company's like yours, let's do it. We're excited for it. And so we've actually figured out a way how to kind of bottle up Austin and give it to the rest of the world. And it's one of our most unique, I think, business development and personal accomplishments.
Yeah, so we're kind of like the Walgreens in that story, right? And actually, Chris and I spent some time yesterday and I got a chance to see the houses and all. It's awesome the way that they built Square Root. But yeah, for us, it's largely about trying to talk about the Walmart technology brand here. In fact, we sponsored the South by Southwest, the VIP lounge here at the Capitol Factory in March. And the reaction we would get when people would come to the lounge was Walmart technology. Like, that's surprising to them. Like, they don't, but I mean, you can't be a retailer with 4,700 retail locations in the U.S., 12,000 globally, and logistics networks like we have, and not leverage an enormous amount of technology. And so part of being here is definitely to try to educate people, and again, it's about talent and letting people know that there are cool, interesting problems to solve. And one of the biggest things is I'm kind of the first person down here, and we know we're going to do a lot more in Austin, but the line of people behind me up at the headquarters that want to move down here is astounding. In fact, I mean, they basically HR policies to try to stop the bleeding. People want to get down here to the point of like Austin is a great place to live, and I think it rivals anywhere in the country in terms of people's desire to move there.
For me, I'll talk more about it personally when I moved here. The technology community, as you alluded to, is huge. There's 3 to 4 meetups every night that you could go to if you so desire. And when I moved here, I just dived in. Went to several meetups the first week I was here, several the next week. Within 2 weeks, I ended up offering to help host one because somebody was looking for some help. And sort of the rest is history from there. But there's so much going on here. But it takes everyone in the community participating and to create all of the things that happen, all the stuff that happens behind the scenes to make sure that there's beer at the event, or sodas and tacos or pizza, whatever it is. It takes a lot to pull all that off, and being involved in that helped kind of plug me in.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone here has had that experience of, like a meetup shows up and it's in 2 weeks, you're like, I'm definitely going, and that day you're like, oh, I don't feel so well, and then you're worried about FOMO, and like, that's tough to do that. But yeah, totally agree. Such an action-packed city, every week something to do. Okay, so folks, don't hate on me for this one, but tell us a little bit about any of the challenges you faced being here and growing your business here in Austin. Any hurdles, any problems that you faced, and potentially how you've mitigated that as well. Some sad faces. I'm sorry. I'm sure there's some. Maybe they have none. I don't know.
Well, I'll just say one, right? 1, 2, 3. Hiring, right?
Yeah.
Because of these big companies coming outside of Austin and taking all our great people and raising companies. No, but it's hard. It's gotten more. It was hard 10 years ago. We had a great influx of talent, and it's even harder. And I think as the banks of the world, Netflix, Google, continue to come here, it's going to continue to be hard. And it's as the bootstrap guy, it's interesting, right? There are almost zero bootstrap companies in Silicon Valley, and the main reason is you pay $400,000 for a developer. Who can afford that, right? There's just no way. Maybe you can hire that one guy or get to be a co-founder or come with you, and as that starts to come here, that bootstrap, scrappy, we can do it ourselves, it's going to be hard to keep it because it's really hard. I do a lot of mentoring at Techstars, and it's hard for those folks to find the developers because the options are so many more options, right? And it's really hard to say, I'll take a winger on the startup, it sounds really cool, when I can go make $150,000. Well, it's tough. It's going to continue.
As one of those well-established companies, hiring is still the hard problem. I would say we're batting probably, I think we're doing really well. When we bring somebody on site, we're probably somewhere in the 20-30% range. We bring them on site, we hire, which is still really good, but it's still hard to find the right fit. As a technology company, so Condé Nast is over 100 years old, but as a technology company, 4, if I'm being generous, we're 4 years old. So still a relatively small company, and somebody comes in, it's not like we're hiring our 1,000 or 5,000 engineer, they're going to be, we have fewer than 200. So they're still going to have an outsized impact, so making sure that we find the right person, and then the hire is going to be good. We don't have room to make bad hires.
So just so, I want to make sure I'm getting ready to meet that challenge. Is the challenge that the competition is so fierce and getting more fierce? Like, is the challenge that there aren't enough people with the type of talent that you're looking for here in Austin?
Yes, yeah, it's just not enough people for the number of spots. And in general, the competition drives prices up, we just squeeze a lot. Right? These guys can afford to make this up, a lot of small stuff.
I've never known a business owner or executive who said hiring was easy. I've never had anyone that said they were enough people that happened to me. I mean, I'm not terribly old, 41, but I remember from the start of my career all the way to right now. I moved here in 1999, there weren't enough people. There were too many big companies, they're all hiring. These are consistent problems that are always going to exist. And they even always get worse in Austin. But I think fundamentally, the community we build here, the companies that we start, the talent that we attract helps to grow that technology ecosystem. It will always be challenging. It will never be easy. It will probably never be San Francisco. And I think we'll have an advantage here for a great long time. Yeah, I'm not going to go right down to plastic there. You just fix this. But, I've never heard a business owner say it's easy. So look, yes, it's going to be challenging. It's a lot easier here than a whole lot of other places. It's easier than San Francisco because the salaries are smaller, there's less competition. It's easier than Oklahoma City because there's a lot more talent here in general. So yes, it's challenging. Yes, it's daunting. No, it will never be easy. I think Austin is fundamentally strategically positioned. A big tech population, affordable city. Your paycheck goes further here on the tech industry than anywhere else. And that's a big advantage for us to attract talent. So yeah, freak out about it, but not too much.
That's a great point. So in making a play for Austin, and I pushed it really hard. I just really wanted to establish a presence here. But you look at the average cost of living and the average salary for a software developer across the West Coast, the East Coast. It's amazing how much better a person can live in this area than they can the cost of living is multiples higher. The $400,000 salaries, those happen for some of those top, Stanford kids and all, but the average software developer isn't going to probably pull down $400,000 a year. So, the supply versus the demand right now for talent that's located here definitely is a challenge. But again, it's not tough to convince somebody to relocate to Austin. So if you've got, and obviously large corporations have an advantage there. We have relocation budgets, or I know you do that, Chris, but for some of the smaller companies, relocation allowances are small if they exist, right? So for us, it's not as big a challenge.
I would think, Jason, the solution to that are more computer science enrichment programs for kids. But I don't want to make a shameless plug.
biggest challenge is actually hiring people in Austin, finding the talent and the talent. A little bit earlier you said that everybody wants to move to Austin, which is such a great place, and it's really is. I mean, there are just handful of cities that can compete with it. How do these things actually work together? On the one hand, everybody wants to come here. On the other hand, there is no one to hire, so the stuff so hard. Where is the catch?
Were you lying then or are you lying now?
I think it's a matter of timing. Like getting somebody that wants to move here that can move here at the same time. For me, that when I moved here, that was the time I wanted to move here. There were plenty of jobs for me here when I moved. It was a matter of lining up my commitments outside of the city to what I needed to get. And I was relatively young and uncommitted at the time.
For us, we know that if we move somebody in, relocating the lead time to get somebody productive is a lot more significant than if we can find somebody in place. So we're actually going to take the approach of, we typically have our own internal recruiters, right? So we don't go and pay a staffing firm 25% of 1 year's salary to get talent, but now it's pretty costly to relocate somebody. It takes them a lot longer to get up to speed. So we're going to switch gears and actually break from our sort of standard operating procedure, and we're going to leverage a local firm that knows Austin, goes to meetups, and is super hyper focused on the technologies we need. I think we certainly will relocate people, but we prefer to grab people that are already here. But we'll do both.
I was the mad guy. Hello? Yeah. So I was the mad guy. It's always a challenge, right? But I think, fundamentally, getting people to move is difficult, right? It's certainly an attractive city, so there's barriers there. But for I think if you think about Austin, the lifestyle here is the draw, and the low cost of living and relatively high salaries to that. So I think we have a unique advantage in that. I think it will help. It certainly helps us. But yeah, if you're trying to get someone to relocate, that's a difficult exercise as well. I think another thing that makes it frustrating as a business owner is it's not a problem that is easily solved with innovation. Right? A lot of the problems we solve in technology, it's the way we solve the problem, and recruiting a lot of times is just grit and kind of more general sales-oriented stuff where you're just dragging it out. So that's good.
I think you've covered it. Time is the biggest issue. I mean, I think also as much as the people moving here, so much companies. I've met with Whole Foods too, a couple boards. There's probably a lot more coming from that. Google's 200,000 square feet downtown. Those are big influences on a lot of jobs. Unfortunately, those 150 people moving here every day are not all tech employees. Some of them are actually regular. So it's just it will be a challenge, right? It's all going to continue to get better, and it's all going to continue to be great for the city. It's just
as long as the cost of living in San Francisco, New York,
the 150 people who move here, they're moving here because they already have a job too, right? It's not like there are people just moving here that are like, I'm going to go to Austin and look for a job. They're already, I mean, the Googles, the Facebooks, the Walmart, they're all moving here because somebody's paying them a lot of money.
And big companies coming in, Apple actually building a big campus, Google moving and doing stuff. And the challenge is out, people want these benefits, they want these salaries, they want to work with big names. What should a startup do to attract talent, to help it pick up, to help it go out? Because obviously the big names take the talent, there is not enough talent for everybody. The startup is in the starting phase, probably not so critical, but when they need to start growing, what would be your suggestions for them? How would they get a first team of 5 to 10 people if they have to compete against the big companies like Walmart?
Maybe we can hear from two of y'all and then another question there.
I'm not going to give away all my secrets. It's to go to a company that small, you got to believe in the mission, the vision, the dream, right? So you got to sell the dream, right? I mean, entrepreneurship is sales, full stop, right? So, and then in addition to that, what we did it was the culture, like really make people feel like they were part of something different and better, and the folks that didn't. I mean, a lot of people want to work for large companies like Google, and there's some great reasons to do that, but there's some people that don't, and you got to find those gotta sell them a culture and sell them a dream that they're gonna do. So we're very different. Again, you can't compete with the office space that any of these guys have if you're a 55-person company like I am. Don't even try. So we have cool like 20 scraps and houses. Like everybody's like, oh, cool. Yeah, there's a dead rat that died in last night. But it's still cool, right? Because it feels interesting. You know, you sit on the couch next to a fireplace and the dog jumps in your lap. It's awesome, right? It's just different. So a lot of times you gotta change the game. You can't play that game. You gotta play your game. And so you just gotta know what your game is. Right? Yeah, that's the start.
I don't think we can talk that.
Great answer.
Yeah.
Play the rats.
Another question? Right here, yes.
We have a really aggressive give back initiative. So how we give back to the community is one of our core values. We have a set of core values are right up on the wall, right when you walk in. You wouldn't think that would be a recruiting tool. But the type of people we want to recruit, the type of culture we've built, it is something that people appreciate. They see us at events, not just business events like this, but events in the community that help other people. And we found with the type of talent we try to attract, that is a kind of an oddball thing that people really tie into. And it's not just lip service, we're not just writing checks. Like we have big groups of people that all go do different things at different times. And that's been a unique thing for these groups.
That's a great one. I mean, getting involved in the community, we're investing a lot in that space. The other thing we do a lot of personal development. So the big thing we do is Square Roots is probably the one perk everybody talks about is we have a $3,000 learn anything budget for everybody in the team, from our office manager up to me. And it's literally learn everything. People go take scuba lessons, they take rock climbing courses. Most of the time it's used to go fly to some other city and go to RailsConf or something that's directly applicable to the job. But we want that flexibility of saying, we're stronger as a company, as a community, if you're happy, if you're learning, if you're growing. And it used to be $1,000, and then we said it's $3,000, but it's got to be used for work. And then this last year and a half, we said, hey, it's literally learn anything. And that little difference, and again, most of the money gets used for the same stuff that was used for before we said anything, makes the team really feel like they're appreciated and we're investing in them. That goes a long way.
I'm like taking notes over here. Very cool. Let's see how many times we're good to go. Everybody, you guys, thank you. Y'all, thank you for being here. Thank you to the
Thank you.